Hi, I'm Rich Torrey. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you ever need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? Now, before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. So I thought it only proper to drop our final drawing of the spooky season today on Halloween. And as I have done in each of the last few years, I'm ending on another cool, creepy, Halloweenish scene inspired by the dark and macabre illustrations of Danish illustrator John Ken Mortensen. If you've never heard of him, I encourage you to look him up, as his stuff is fantastic and infinitely drawable. Our scene today, as with those in the past few years, sort of tells a story, or at the very least conjures up an awesome, spooky Halloween vibe that we all love. And it includes what I would describe as a very odd group of trick-or-treaters. Today's drawing will be a perfect example of why it requires us to plan things out with a little light roadmap, or what I call page management. The idea is to spend a little time first thinking about how best to lay out our drawing so as to use the space of the page in a pleasing way, especially because there are going to be 4 characters in this drawing, all holding things. But enough talk, let's draw. We're going to use the Level Up Cartooning process to create our little haunted trick-or-treat parade. The focus of this and all my lessons is in the drawing process, so we're not coloring anything here. You'll just need a pencil. That said, you'll see me use several different colored pencils during this and most of my videos. I do this simply to separate the 3 steps of the Level Up process. That's the only reason I do it. You only really need a regular pencil for this. Any pencil will do. One more thing. Before we start, I encourage you to put your own spin on this. Maybe you want more than 4 creepy trick-or-treaters, or maybe fewer. Maybe they're wearing some other costume, or carrying some other weird spooky thing. By all means, change it. That's what makes this so much fun, okay? So let's start with that roadmap for our haunted trick-or-treat parade. So there's our roadmap for our little Halloween haunted trick-or-treat parade. Now before I go on to step 2, I want to give you the layout of our haunted Halloween scene using simple shapes for those of you who want to screen grab. Just something to help you when laying out your drawing. Okay, so now we're on to step 2. In this step, we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the 3rd and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. You'll see that I use guidelines to help me to position our creepy trick-or-treaters' eyes, noses, bodies, and overall poses. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing, so you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. Okay, so let's rough out the features of our haunted trick-or-treat parade scene. Okay, so there are the roughed out features for a haunted trick-or-treat parade scene. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for that final step. This is where we get to have fun. We get to draw in the final details of our Halloween haunted trick-or-treat parade scene. We don't have to guess where to put things because we've already done all the hard work figuring that out. In this step, it's okay to draw darker, but don't press too hard or mindlessly retrace over the lines you've already drawn. Always draw with an eye on tweaking and improving all the way until the very end. One last thing. While we're drawing the final lines, I'm also going to add an extra step in this video to add texture and tone using crosshatching, so look for that. So let's draw in the details for our haunted trick-or-treat parade scene. Alright, so now while we've finished off the details of the line art, I think this drawing needs something to add a little pop. So I'm going to add some texture to our trick-or-treaters' clothing, as well as all the crazy things that they're all carrying. Pay attention, as I add the texture, notice I don't draw random lines, but sort of group 4 or 5 lines together to form the texture or the tone. Then I do the same type of thing above it and next to it and below it, over and over again. It's something that, while not difficult, it takes practice. Even more so, it takes a lot of patience. In other words, don't be in a hurry. If you have to, take a break from it. I just wanted to point that out. Alright, so give it a try. And don't press too hard while you're doing it. Okay? So let's add a little atmosphere and texture to our trick-or-treat parade scene. And that's how you do it. There you have it, our Halloween haunted trick-or-treat parade scene inspired by the wonderfully macabre illustrations of Danish illustrator John Ken Mortensen. So how do you think you did? Understand, if you've never drawn a scene like this before, then you can't expect to have drawn it perfectly. What I really wanted you to do was focus on the fun you had creating it. You'll notice I don't spend time coloring the scene during this video because I want my lessons to focus solely on the drawing process. Now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing this Halloween haunted trick-or-treat scene. And with that, you can draw it again and again, and by all means color it when you're done. I promise each time you draw it, it'll be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. Hopefully, you've also learned a little bit about the importance of planning out your drawing. In other words, managing your page. Anyway, I'd love to see your haunted Halloween trick-or-treat parade scene. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram. And don't forget to include the hashtag #LevelUpCartooning. I hope you had as much fun as I did with this one. Remember to subscribe, and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends, and have a safe and spooky Halloween.